let's start with a quick survey. How many people have it installed? Kama has it. Mama has it. Others quickly
I have it.
tell me. Awesome. And Sanjay, do you have it?
I have it.
Okay. Okay, cool. And who else? Vipul?
Let me check. I'm just checking.
Sure. Okay. And Ashok?
Yeah, I have it on my phone. I have to put it on my computer actually.
Okay. No, when you're saying you have it, you're also having access to the board, right? The discourses board, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah. I'm not sure if Pashmina has it, but Pashmina, you can see what we're doing and then get it.
Yeah. I'll take guidance from Kama and I will do it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure. Thanks. So, okay. So now, just before we go to the discourses board, I thought we'll have a little fun, right? So let's create a new board. So I just wanted to give you an idea that this can be useful for many things. So let's create a new board, right? Party plan. Yeah.
Karthik, you can start from opening Trello and then say something about the display, different displays.
Good idea. Yeah. Good idea. Thank you. So basically, you start from setting up your account, right? So thanks for that reminder because it's slightly different. Now, the way I have structured the discourses reading board, the board is nothing but a whiteboard, right? So if you remember the analogy I used, it's a whiteboard with stickers that we use in the physical world. This is a digital equivalent of that. So if you look at how you access this, you'll have to create a account on Atlassian. Atlassian is the company that owns this product. So you might see that when you log in and try to get in. Now, the email IDs that are on Teams and are invited to the Teams meeting and are in the Advancing Stream group, the Meher Baba Awakens team members, all of them have access to edit and make changes to the discourses reading board. Nobody else can edit, but everybody can see it. So please make sure that you're able to open up the board and also make changes to it. Please remember, changes are logged. So if you make some change, everybody gets to know that you made that change, which is good because that you can just go to like a Facebook feed and see what changes happen to the board. And that's a good way of interacting and keeping.
I did something, but did you get the information? I did something last week, something to it. I don't know what I did, but I did.
Yes, I saw that.
Okay.
I saw the notification. So that is again managed by notification settings. If you don't have notifications, then you will not get notified. But I did notice you responded to Kama's comment or something like that. Yes, I did see that. So you have edit access. That also confirms that. Yeah, so that's on the ID and access. Okay, so now what you'll see when you land the first time is something like this. So you will see a workspace, and in a workspace you can create multiple boards. So a board is like a single whiteboard. Your workspace is like multiple whiteboards that you can manage. So you can create whiteboards or boards to represent any activity. So you can do a party planning using this. You can organize all your recipes. I was thinking of diverse examples to help. You can create, like my son uses this for his academic planning, right? So how his study plan is on Trello, right? So you can use anything where you need multiple people interacting and multiple things to manage and which old people like me a few years back was using Excel. So instead of Excel, this is a very, very interactive and vivid way of visualizing your work, right? So that's what Trello is. So now let's take an example. So which example shall we work on? Shall we do a party planning? Shall we do a list for recipe? What do you think we should do? Party planning.
We should plan our trip to Mehrabad. Just
okay, so let's do that. Trip planning, right? So I'm just going to create a dummy board. What is that, Sherry? You're saying something too.
I want to know how to add the questions, any questions.
I'll come to all of that. Even before that, this is just about Trello, right? So you can choose a color for your board. You create the board, and then what are the activities that you have under this? So inside a board, you have multiple lists, and then you have cards, right? So the first list I can clearly think of for the trip is attendees, let's say, right? Who all are going to come? So who are all going to come? Actually, bad idea. Let's say main info, dates, right? All of that. So that's the list that I've created. On that, I say tentative dates is a card. This is a card now, right? I add that card. So here in that, I go and say, how about 15th of May, right? And then that gets posted to everybody, and everybody can respond and play with it. And you can also do many things for the card, like you can add the card to somebody. Let's say you want somebody to finalize the date. You can just add a card to that person by adding a member, but that member should have access to this board, obviously, right? So if you're trying to, I don't see you using that in our board because we don't assign tasks. All of us are updating everything, right? Then you can use labels. Then you can put a due date on it. You can add attachments. You can add a cover. I'll show you all of that when we see discourses, right? So then the next thing will be itinerary, right? So what shall we do on that day? So that can be another list. Itinerary, and let's say food menu, right? Food planning, that's another list, right? So here I can say under food planning, I'll say groceries to be shopped, to be bought, and that's one card, and that I'll make, let's say, Nomita responsible for, right? So I added Nomita, right? Something like that. I'm just making this up as we go because she's the one going to feed us in Mehrabad. Right? So then you have the other one is hotels nearby. So I'll add that card, and anybody who finds a hotel near Mehrabad can go and update this, right? So everybody gets to know that these are the hotels near Mehrabad, right? And then itinerary, you can keep discussing on, you can make 3 cards, maybe day 1, day 2, and day 3. So, and then in that card, we can have all the details. So what happens is, this is a good way of visualizing and planning your trip, right? You can also use it. Yeah.
So is it that like in Excel we have worksheets and we have sub worksheets? Are the cards?
Good comparison, but then it gets some. You can be very creative with this. One is worksheets is a good analogy, but you can be very creative with this. I'll give you an example why don't get stuck with Excel. That was my struggle. Okay, with Trello. I also kept thinking about how this compares with Excel. In fact, I realized, let's say we are doing task planning. We have 100 tasks to achieve between all the 10 of us, and we want to use Trello to manage those 100 tasks. Now, if you use Excel to manage those 100 tasks, I'll have tasks in the first column. I'll have owners for the task in the second column. And then the third column will tell me the status. And maybe I can have a due date, I can have a start date, all of that as columns in the Excel. I'm sure all of us are familiar with this because we have done it one time or the other, right?
Yes.
If I come to Trello, it completely changes the way we can interact with this software, right? So what we'll do is we'll actually create. Let's do that. Let's say task planning. Then you'll understand the power of this. So,
and it's free software.
Most functionality is free, yeah. But then the more complex functionalities are not free, right? So I'll just now create a 100 tasks board, and now because I'm doing this as to show you the difference between Excel and this, I'll directly tell you what I do generally. I create to be started, in progress, then done, stuck, right? And then I add tasks. So this is task 1, and task 2, then task 3, and task 4. Let's start. I'm not going to add 100 tasks right now. But the idea is, let's say we're having a meeting to discuss and finalize this task allocation. So firstly, I can visually explain to everybody that all the I have only 4 tasks, all of them are not started. So that's very helpful. Then I can go to each task and add who has to do it, what is the checklist for that, what is the due date, does it need a document, I can do that, I can add documents to it, and so on and so forth. Then as the job gets started, I just move it to in progress. So now I know, and everybody knows, that task 1 is in progress. And then over 3 days, let's say it gets done, then whoever completes it can actually move it to done. All the interaction is still possible, and all of this is logged. So if you see on the right side of the screen, whatever I have done gets logged here. So you can actually understand what is going on this board, right? So this is a good way of doing it. But whereas, Ashok, now you understand why this is very different from Excel, right? So
Yes.
stack columns in Excel now actually become lists, which is far more powerful, right?
Yeah,
And
it's got a time log as well.
it's got a time log. It's got an audit log as well. So you know who did what, when. So you can't cheat. You can collaborate very well with multiple parties and so on, right? So, and I believe it's fairly easy to use once you break the mental barrier. Because I was telling before we started this call, the first time somebody suggested this to me was a young kid that I hired. And I said, hey, open an Excel and let's track. And then he said, no, let's use Trello. I said, don't give me another shiny object. And I lost my cool, actually. So apologies to that guy. But later on, I fell in love with it. So anyway, that is Trello. Right. So any questions at this time? Then I'll give an assignment.
Can it be shared externally also?
Yes, you can share it with any email ID, any email address. But then if the moment you create a Trello account, it actually creates something like a handle. So it creates a handle for you. So you can just look up a person by handle or invite him by email address. So it's like Twitter handles or Facebook handles, right? The @ sign and handle, right?
Karthik, can you confirm my email ID? Actually, because I moved on, so has it automatically changed or it is the old one? I just wanted to
know. Okay, let's check.
Or yeah, maybe 1-to-1 you can give me later.
Yeah, I think it's RIL. That's what I use.
Yeah, I got changed to GOBP actually, so I just wanted. Yeah, RIL. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's still RIL.
Done. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Bye. Yeah. Okay, so I have a little assignment. You don't have to do it, but somebody can try to explain. Let's say we are all hiring 100 people, right? Or let's say we are hiring for 5 positions, okay? 5 job descriptions, and we want to use Trello to track that. Any ideas on how we can do that? Just as a thought exercise. So we have 5 job descriptions. We have 2 team members hiring against those job descriptions. And obviously there's going to be like 50 CVs and interviews and action items, and then issues with the documentation, verification problems, background check, all of that, right? So can you just do a thought exercise?
First give the name of the position. Each card for a name of the position.
No, before the positions, a major card called recruitments or.
Okay. You mean we create a board? We create a board for hiring.
Create a board for recruitment.
Okay, done.
And then 5 sub
lists. So
lists,
these
yes,
are called lists.
Okay.
So the vertical ones are lists. So main info, dates, itinerary, and food planning are lists, and these are cards. Grocery to be top. Yeah.
First, we have to have a card then.
No, first we have a board, and then you have lists, and in the list you have cards.
Okay, so first you have a board, and then 5 lists for the 5 positions.
Okay, that's a good. That's one approach. Any other approaches? Actually, I realized this is very close to Vipul's business, right? So any other?
Yeah, I realized that.
So, the way you jumped in there.
You are. That's why I jumped in first. So you create actually under that one MasterCard or one board, as you said it. Under one board, you create 5 cards.
Okay.
Okay, for each position.
Okay.
Then you assign. Then within the card you have job description, customer name, position, date by it is to be closed, and criteria like that. Then you assign that particular card to a particular person.
Perfect.
So similarly, 5 cards and you have only 2 people. You assign it to 2 cards maybe go to one person, another 2 cards go to another person, and 1 card goes to one person.
So there's no one size fits all answer, right? So you can use your creativity. I'll tell you what we do in our company actually for hiring. So we create a board per JD. So it's like, let's say in your context, Titan's CMO. You're hiring for Titan Chief Marketing Officer. So I'll create a board for that, and in that board, I'll have all the CVs as cards. So each of the prospective candidates, so some I may just find from Naukri, 50 CMO profiles matching that JD. So I put all of that to a first list, which is to be reviewed. So somebody needs to review it. And then I move the cards and say reject to 40 of them. 10 of them, I move to another list saying in contact. Then I move them to interviewed. Then I move the cards to closed. Then documentation pending, whatever, right? So that's what we do. But then that's us. So you can do something else. So basically, this is a new way of visualizing your work. And thank you, Baba, for helping me think of this for trying to make discourses reading more powerful and hopefully enjoyable as well. So now with this little context, I think we are now ready to understand what's going on in discourses reading. Any questions before we go there?
How much time it took you, Karthik, to learn this?
No, it's not time like that, right? So as you use it, you'll just master it. Don't worry about it at all.
Yeah.
As you just That's it. So it's like Teams, right? So do you remember how much we struggled in March of last year, March and even April, where we had issues on connectivity, we had issues on the menus, we had people struggling how to do something on Teams and so on. But then it became very, very easy as we spent hours and hours on it, right?
Yeah.
So similarly, so please use it as a way for as a tool for your learning journey, and then you will realize it becomes more and more easy. So if there are no other questions, let's go to discourses reading. So I'll tell you how I've structured this. So there's a lot of thought that has gone in. I don't put in stuff that I want to do on the cards before I actually test them. So I have a discourses reading test only between me and Kama. So we do all our experiments here, and once we are convinced, we move that to the main board. That's to tell you we are quite conscious of how this turns out, and we are keen that this works as a good repository for helping anybody, not just now and not just us, but literally for posterity, right? So now let's go to the discourses reading. So what I created is, first I created a group called Meher Baba Awakens and invited all of the team's email IDs into that group or that team. So in Trello, it's a team. So I created a team and I added all of those people to that team. Then I created the first is a list called Getting Started. So the first card there is some details about the process. So if you see this, I've just put a bulleted list of process to be followed, right? And you all can see it when you get the time. Then I had another card which is book and edition particulars, and I actually added the document as well. So you can download the version right from here. You can go to the edit, the version that I edit and add the highlights. That's available here, right? So you can just click on this, and you can anybody can get this version anytime, right? Because I save it at the end of the meeting, and it's available on OneDrive. That's the live link. Okay. Then we put this word cloud, so anybody wants to refer this at any time to see and understand, it would be a good tool, right? And then the themes. Now, if you recollect, so by the way, I didn't mention this, cards can be moved around, right? So visually, this is very useful when you're doing a lot of work, and what is more priority can be moved up and so on and so forth, right? So cards can be moved around. Cards can have a cover. So this has a cover. So that's why the image shows up. All these don't have covers, all the chapters, right? So then I created the chapters and themes. This is an Excel. So this is basically the 14 themes in the slide deck before we started, right? So the themes, the discourses sections, the discourses chapters are classified into the themes. That's what is available in this Excel. Okay. Maybe I should add a description. I will. And then there's also a visualization. So these are the 14. Oh, I said themes. Themes that we've identified from earlier. And I have to sharpen, readjust as we unravel Baba's import and more. All these are editable by you. So be careful and edit responsibly. That's all, because it's visible to everybody. So if you notice, there is responses already from Mama. He's been active here. So then I created, if you remember last weekend, I thought of 2 new cards to add here. One is Kama's acronym. So here it is. We've added some. And this is just a very short list because Kama can make this run to pages. He loves acronyms, right? This is what I was saying. Sherry, you responded to the card. So you're all set, right? This is what you were saying, right, Sherry?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you had, then I did this and I added 2 words. I don't know whether you guys noticed. There was an interesting use of terminology for drop soul. It came twice in that chapter, center of consciousness, right? So it's like a unit of consciousness, more likely. Center is misleading, but he's actually used that twice in that chapter. So when you're rereading this chapter, please look out for that. He uses the phrase, center of consciousness, to describe Jivatma, right? And I added separative because that came up even yesterday. Separative existence, and separative is not something that we use normally in English, right? But discourses and Baba uses it liberally. So this is a list of words that are uniquely used or used with meanings that have special significance in the Baba world, right? So as we get such words, let's come back and remember to come and add them here, right? So that's what this is. So now let's go to the chapters. Now what I did in the chapters is, before that, there is one more thing I wanted to say. So the lists I have created are info general because there are some chapters that are very common and not linked to the themes, like the 4-word glossary and all of that. Then you have the themes. Now, some themes I have made them separate, but some themes I've kept them as pairs because spirit and matter can't be split. There's nothing separate from spirit and matter, right? So I'm keeping that as, both Kama and me discussed, and we felt that keep them together. Then you have consciousness as a list, sanskaras, God, Maya, avatars and perfect masters, love, ego, reincarnation and karma. Again, we kept them together. And then there is yoga, which is everything about work and selfless service and all of that. Then there's meditation, the 8-part meditation discourses. So that is that. Now, let me take let me show you the chapter template. So I created a template. Now, this is more for later. Once you get comfortable with Trello, you guys can play with it in your other work and personal projects. You can create templates for cards. So I created a template which had the following checklists. So the first was one checklist about reading date and other details. Then essence of the chapter, where we put the subtitles. Then we had references, and we did cross-referencing between chapters, between books, and anything else that we want to add. Then you had assignments and projects that were given. What is yet to be updated even in one chapter is the quiz and assessment. I have not done it, but I have to work with Ravi and get the quiz details added here. My plan is to add either a Google form link for the questions so that people can actually submit their answers. Okay. And we can also have a PDF which has the right answers, right? So it acts as a way where people can first assess themselves through the Google form and then also go and check the answers themselves, right? So that's what I was thinking, but I'm still to make up my mind. Then you have the practical. Yeah, sure.
Do we have access to this template? No.
Yes, you do.
How did you go here? I mean, that's what...
Yeah, it's under info general, right? So the first one I created was the template. That's it. It's 4-word, but I made this a template, and with this template I created one card per chapter. So if you look at this button, create card from template. But of course, this will work only on this board. So if you want to use it in some other place, it won't. You have to make your own template. So that's it. But it's very easy to make a template. I mean, it's nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, so again, the thought exercise was we spent a lot of time making this template, because after I make the templates, if I have to make a change, I have to make it to every card in the chapter, right? So that's why I had that test environment where I made all that. And then we went to each of the chapters, right? So let's take an example. Somebody is opening aluminum foil and having breakfast. I can
Yes.
hear a lot of.
Yes, I am trying to have a pre-breakfast.
Wow, nice. So I'll open. Okay, we'll take what we did today, which is good and evil, right? Yeah. So, so if you look at it, I will add the YouTube link to this after I upload it. So there'll be date of reading, which I updated as 11th April. Then I'll add the video link. In cases where we read the chapter over 2 days, I add 2 video links and I put the YouTube there. And also, if we have done a quiz, I have added the quiz video link as well, so that it's all in one place. Then this is a checklist, but we actually don't go and check it, right? Checklist is what we are using as a cheat. So it's just a list of the subtitles. We didn't have any references that we made. We could add the phases that the planes that Kama took us through in the other chapter, but that was in response to a question, and it's not really directly alluding to good and evil. So maybe it's not a reference. Assignment and project, maybe we'll add it. So I'll say Kama will do the, let's do it. So the moment I use at, it comes up with the names. So I pick Kama to comment and think through and comment. Think through and come back on the ashes soap vessel cleaning analogy. Right. So if even if we forget, if we open this card later, we'll know that this is pending. Right. And now Kama should get notified because I did this. Right. Because I called him, so he'll get notified. Right. And once we have the quiz, the idea is to put the quiz here and so on. So this is all there is. There's nothing complicated, but I'm sure you understand how useful this can be, right? So the other things that we'd like to add, but we don't know how to do it, is Kama is very keen that we somehow link this back, as we have been saying, to the 7 realities, right? And link it back at least the chapter level, right? So it's still a work in progress. We are probably going to use labels. So I've used only 3 labels right now. Completed, in progress, or read frequently. Read frequently is only the 7 realities. Reading completed is I just update this so that visually, when you see this, when you just glance through the lists on Trello, the green means it's done, right? So it's visually useful. So I just use it, use that label for completing, for reading completed. So this is it, guys. Any thoughts, comments?
It's a wow.
Which
Please
is
use
my
it.
email ID you are using?
Let me tell you. It must be the one I used on Trello, but I can tell you right now. This is the one. You've already set it up. So that's your handle. Vipul Kukreja 2. You've already set it up using whatever email. I don't know.
Yeah, but from my Trello, I can't see the cards.
Yeah,
so,
same with me. I was able to see it in March. Today I was trying, as you were explaining. I'm not able to see the cards.
So when I go to Trello on my left column in Teams,
yeah,
then Trello, screen comes. Now I need to get into that board, recent team boards, let's say.
Okay.
Then there is nothing. It says loading and boards are pinned in Teams.
Yeah.
You don't have access to view them.
So I have not linked. You're way ahead of me, right? So I have not linked Teams to Trello. I'll tell you the reason for that as well. I use all our interactions on the, where is that? Sorry, it won't even show up here because I'm not, when I'm in class, I use my work ID to make the, to conduct the Teams meeting because I need to record it, right? And recording is not allowed in the MBA Teams version. And I have not linked Trello to Teams in that way, though it's possible. So please use Trello independently, but use the same email ID to log in. That's it.
Okay.
So like Vipul said, it appears as a tab, but I have not linked it yet. Point number one. Point number two, I'll send you invites again on the email IDs. And Sanjay, in your case, I'll just check if I have done it to RIM, which is most likely. But we'll figure out both of yours offline. Check.
Last time I was able to see. Today when I'm logging, it is asking me to confirm my email ID. And when I press that button, it goes into my Gmail ID, which is, I think it
so
is
you've used
Sanjay Nigam 3. It is actually, I think. It is showing as 3 on my.
हाँ तो आपने दो बार create किया है. एक बार पहले बार it has made us 3 with your Gmail, and then it has created 5. So you'll have to use one, and if you want, I can add the 3 also. Right?
Yeah,
so
I try to do that.
Yeah.
I can right away see. I am.
Sanjay Nigam 3, right?
Yeah, add, you have to add in the front, no?
Yeah. Yeah, meanwhile, your question? Ashok?
Yeah, Karthik. Yeah. So I'm saying that at the rate of Ashok Kali 1 is the handle.
Yes, that's right. You can see, right? So you can see the board, right?
I can see the board, yes.
Yeah. So actually, I just realized I am not signed in as administrator. I am signed in as a user, so I can't add people. So I'll do that after I sign out, Sanjay.
Okay.
Right. So I'm signed in as myself. I've created, again, a lot of thought. So I've created an MBA dummy account as the administrator of the board. Only he can add people, but I am not that. I'm here, as you can see. I'm just signed in as a user right now.
Yeah.
Right. So technology can make things complicated.
You not the real you. Yeah.
Yes.
So can we see our email in this? No, in Trello. What email we have?
No, it doesn't show you. Not here. Not here. Again, it's to protect your privacy. So nobody will find out your email ID through your handle. So it's a good thing, but I know what your problem is. So we'll figure that out offline. Okay. So I think this is what it is. So let's start thinking and also participating on Trello powerfully so that we are able to use this to full benefit. Second, I'm thinking that for messaging, let's just stick only to Telegram. And anything to do with communicating with each other, let's just use Telegram. Anything to do with studies and updates, let's try to use the cards here aggressively, right? Any thoughts, Kama? By the way, I've shared this with a lot of Baba lovers that are new, right? So I just want them to experience that as well. So people who are seriously into discourses. So feel free to do that. Kama, any thoughts? Or has he dropped off?
No, he's there.
Oh, okay. There.
Yeah, I was hearing that. I think you're doing good. I think once we start working on it individually, we will start clarifying all the doubts and everything. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
So main, as Karthik said, I want to keep repeating this. The essence of all this reading and all this work that we are doing with Trello and just for us, it is for a universal audience, so that when they start reading discourses and God speaks, they will have some kind of framework to refer to. And we are the pioneers in that. And hopefully each one of us will become Baba's special agent, because The idea is to relate everything to the 7 realities, like the 10 commandments or Buddha's Eightfold Path, and relate it to our own personal practical life experience. So that is the main idea of doing all this work. Yeah, Bob.
So I have a question, Karthik. So now, like I have the task of creating opposites. So can I create a label?
Task of
creating opposites, antonyms.
Yeah, so let's not mess with individual tasks on the board. So so as I said, the tasks should be linked and directly associated with a chapter.
Okay.
But if you want, you can add it here. Maybe the getting started. This the first list. Add it here. Yeah, that's a good idea. So add it as a card here, and keep adding to that list, so we'll know as you're finishing it.
Okay.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will try to give the chapter reference. If I can't, I just wanted to make a list like Kama has got the acronyms, just a list of antonyms.
Yeah, so let's do it here. So this is the right place. Like you have acronyms and keywords from discourses. We'll have another card that you can create, which is antonyms.
Okay.
Yeah. And I realized that my task is still pending. I had to do keyword search on values, all the different value pairs that exist in discourses. Okay, so I know we went a little over time, but I hope this was useful. I have recorded this as well so that it helps those who weren't on the call. So I'll post this also to the channel. Yeah.
Karthik, what all cards that we can say edit or add or things like that?
So as I said, you can edit anything. It's all you can add cards. I think let's add cards only to the getting started, the first list, because the rest of it is just chapters. So let's keep it clean. But you can edit the card. So you can go in and let's say in New Humanity, you want to add some essence that is missing in the subtitle. You want to add a new reference that you discovered, which is suitable. Please feel free.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So I think that's what we should do. And again, be responsible, because if you do something and delete it or remove something or add something and remove it, both those steps are logged. So everybody sees everything. Okay. Yeah. So
nothing is lost also.
Yes, mostly everything can be recovered because there's no very few things are deleted permanently. Most of the things are just archived and you can restore and so on.
So, Karthik, question. What I wanted to know was, since the two of us are going to be the final editors, will there be like a master final thing, and all the inputs that we are getting from different people, which you have just been talking about, because if they accidentally erase something or delete something, but we have the original. So are there going to be two separate things, or how does it work?
So right now, this is the final. Okay, what we are seeing as the one that all of you have access to. This is editable, but not deletable by everybody. So there's no final approval or another final version that I'm thinking right now, but we'll see how it goes. But I hear you. I hear your point. So if there is something untoward,
it's something like that, and you lose it, correct? The original, the previous part, or whatever.
Yeah. Let me think and see if there's some way of backing this up to another board. Let me see.
Because
I don't have an answer for you now. Yeah, but I will think through that. Good question.
If one person edits something by mistake, unconsciously, then it will affect the whole master, framework.
Yes.
That's why.
and a lot of
because
work.
I remember when we were doing the Sufism reoriented website design for MBUSC, the Bairamangla website, keep templates, so different collaborators can work on different things, right? And then you put it on the final version. One or two person basically has control on the master, the final version, but the rest of the people work on that, secondary framework or whatever we call it. So just a thought.
Good. Good thought. So I'll probably create a discourses reading public board, which only you and me can edit, and then we'll export frequently from here. Basically, take a snapshot of what is here and move it there. But yeah, I'll do some work on how that's achieved technically. But then this can be very, I hope, as I've shown, when you explore it individually, you'll see that it's really cool. Everything is in one place, right? So you have the YouTube link, once the questions come on, it'll be in the same place. So even for somebody who's self-learning at their own pace, not knowing any one of us, it's a good tool, because they will be able to not edit, but they can see all of this. Right now it's public.
That's a good idea, that some master or archived part of it is retained and then edited and put up for general consumption.
Correct.
So what we do here is sort of an exercise in excellence. But once something comes out of that, that should be maintained properly. For that, I think you need to have a master board which is archived.
Well, yes, a good idea. Very good idea that came out of this discussion. So I will work on that. So as we finish chapters, we move it to another board which is visible to the world. Oh, and this we can make private maybe down the line. Let me think about that. Good point.
Yeah. So now, Karthik, just to summarize, all communication is on Telegram.
Yes, and board is for reference and interactions. So if you want to say something in specific reference to a portion of learning, then you try to use the comments and go and engage in the card. Again, this is all linked to the fact that all of us need to carve out at least half an hour to 1 hour. That's all it needs. To reread the chapter during the week, I have noticed that you don't need more than an hour. Please pull that hour out and work on reading and rereading that chapter so that you internalize and do better in the quiz, not just for the quiz sake, but for the fact of absorption and learning outcome. And at that time, whatever comes on, though we are not in a meeting, this can act as a way of interacting with each other, the cards. That's all I'm saying. So when you read, open up the card, see the video if you need to, and so on. By the way, I've been a bit tardy too. I want to also add the audio files to the card itself. I did that for some of them. Yeah, right here. See, you have the audio file as well. So you have the video file and you have the audio file. So the issue was, it does not, in the free version, I cannot add anything more than 20 MB. So some of these longer chapters, I have to split the audio file and I have to figure out how to do that. That's for me to figure out though.
And what about the quiz next week?
Yes, it's on. Yeah, thanks for that reminder. I'll send it on Telegram as well. It's both these chapters. 3 is a very small chapter, removal of samskaras. So we'll do 2 and 3. And
that's part 2
I don't know.
3.
Part 2 and 3, yes. What I'm showing online, right? Part 2 and 3 of removal of samskaras. Now the other thing is we are backlogged on the quiz, right? So maybe we have to do that. We have to catch up so that we have to finish the quizzes for the other chapters. So maybe we have to do those quizzes offline, not necessarily in a call. But I'll let the academic board decide that. Mama Ji and the doc.
Mama Ji has some issues. I need another week or 10 days to settle on. So I'm unable to access my laptop right now. So I'm fixed only on my mobile. So there are some issues. Okay.
Sure. No problem. All right. That's it for Trello. And everybody have a great week.
Thank you. Jai Baba.
Thank you. Jai Baba.